selection site. And next, it's my pleasure to introduce, going down the line, our House Democratic Caucus Chair, Javier Becerra.
So I concur with my colleague, Congressman Gallego, that we should celebrate the 80,000 plus Latinos who will turn 18 and become of age, not just to do things as adults, but to vote. And I think what's important to remember is that whether you're young or old, we want you to get involved. And I know that Guadalupe Portillo back home in Los Angeles in my district would tell you the same thing, because she voted for the first time last year, 2014, after she had just had a chance to become a U.S. citizen. She's 102 years old. And while she's not 18, it's just as important to have Guadalupe Portillo participate, because there are more than 54 million Latinos in the U.S. and the territories who count, who participate. And we want them to see themselves every time they go out and do something and try to be leaders, because that's what leaders have to do, is they have to show that they're role models. And we want Latinos to be out there as role models. And that's why later on this year we hope, soon we hope that we can build the Museum of the American Latino here on the National Mall to join all the other Smithsonian museums that are out there, so we can actually show the contributions of Latinos throughout the history of our country. Guadalupe Portillo no es la única que cuenta, pero a los 102 años cuenta por mucho, igual los que tienen 18 años cuentan por mucho por medio de su voto. We hope everyone will participate. This will be a good chance to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and Citizenship Day. Let's all get out there and participate. Thank you. With that, let me now welcome our chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Congressman Ben Ray Luján from New Mexico.
Thank you, sir. Well, good morning, everyone. And as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, we do so at a critical time, not only in our nation's history, but during this time in the Congress, as we're embarking on a conversation and debate with one of the most important roles and functions that we have as members of Congress, to make sure the services are not going to be cut off, that we're not going to see a shutdown of the government like we saw on full display a year ago. Our Republican colleagues right now are more focused on shutting down the federal government than addressing the critical issues of the Latino community across America. House Democrats have been calling for a budget that makes college more affordable, increases access to job training programs, and puts people to work to rebuild bridges and roads, make sure that everyday folks like my mom and dad are able to get a chance to do well, to get ahead, to save a little bit at the end of the month, to be able to put their kids to school, or to be able to go out and grab a bike. That's what we're talking about today, and what's under assault, and why a government shutdown is so devastating to people all across America. We've been ready to work on a bipartisan solution to avoid a Republican shutdown, but sadly the reckless elements of the Republican Party are full work. Can't seem to get anyone to sit down to have a conversation. And that's why a Republican shutdown back in 2013 was created. That's why Republicans almost shut down the Department of Homeland Security at the beginning of this calendar year, after making a promise at the end of last year that they would not do so. Yet again, they brought it forward. It's why the appropriations process, the responsibility for funding the federal government, was taken down, because Republicans could not get past having a debate about making sure that the Confederate battle flag would not be sold in federal concessions across America. It's become a bad pattern, hasn't it? We're certainly hopeful that people will come together to do the right thing. But as we reach out to Latinos all across America, we want to make sure that your voice is heard. Get involved, stay involved. If you get discouraged or frustrated, you need to speak up. And that's what we're calling upon you to do. So instead of lurching from one manufactured crisis to another, House Republicans should come to the table, put families in front of their own political security, put our nation's security ahead of their own political security, and make sure that we put America's security ahead of the Republican political security that we see taking down all of the process that will help people, instead of what we're seeing that are hurting families. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone again here today, to all of my colleagues for speaking up and reaching out to everyone across the country. And I want to call upon one of our dear friends, the Dean of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, none other than the great Jose Serrano.
Thank you for the great part. The Dean part means age and time, and I'm nervous about it. I want to join also my colleagues in saying, and I'll say it as it has to be said, if you're over 18, if you're a citizen, and you ignore Election Day on Tuesday, you shouldn't complain on Wednesday about conditions in the country or conditions in your community. If you have the right and the ability to be a citizen, and you haven't applied yet, then you shouldn't be complaining about immigration and all the problems that we face. What I'm trying to say is that there are many of us who take for granted our ability to make a difference, and we shouldn't take for granted that ability. And so next Tuesday, I understand is National Voter Registration Day, Voting Day. It is a privilege that we have. Every day people are coming to our country. Why are they coming? For the weather? Are they coming for the food? Perhaps. Are they coming for our television shows? Maybe. Are they coming for our clothing style? Perhaps. But more than anything else, they're coming for our democracy, our ability to vote, our ability to say whatever we think about our leaders and not get arrested and not get put away for saying it. So please, if you have the ability to be a citizen, sign up right away. And if you are a citizen and haven't signed up to vote, do it immediately. Madam Chair, I'm going to take a second here to go sort of off track because it's something I did last night on social media and I want to follow up. I want to give pay homage to the pioneers. All those folks who out west in the southwest of New York, throughout the nation, in Puerto Rico, in the territories, fought years ago. Most of them are no longer with us. Who fought years ago to make it possible for us to be here. And that, the chairwoman, another chairperson would be upset, but she's a fan, so she understands. As a Puerto Rican, I paid tribute to a man who was a humanitarian, who wore a number on his back, who played baseball for 17 years, and who gave his life to save people in Nicaragua. He was the first Latino in the Hall of Fame, the first Latino with 3,000 hits, the first Latino 5-tool player, and the first Latino to say, you've got to give Latinos the same rights in baseball as you give other people. He may to some people be just he is probably a symbol of who we are, the best of who we are as a people, and I'm referring to number 21, Roberto Clemente. And he always rests in peace, and he may always be a symbol of what we should be as a people. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. It's now my pleasure to introduce a colleague of mine from the state of California, Congressman Juan Vargas.
Muchas gracias. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes. Su voto es su voz. Si no votan, no tienen voz. Ya saben cómo están atacando los candidatos republicanos, ¿verdad? Diciendo un montón de cosas de nosotros. Y por eso es importante que ustedes voten. Toda la gente que puede votar, hay que votar. Y las personas que no se han registrado, que se registren. Porque si no, van a seguir en lo mismo. En California tuvimos esto en 1994. En ese tiempo el gobernador Pete Wilson nos llamó un montón de mentiras, ¿verdad? A los latinos. Pero ¿qué hicimos en California? Empezamos a registrarnos y votamos. Y ahora no nos atacan. ¿Por qué? Si nos atacan en California, ellos ya no tienen su posición política. ¿Por qué? Los derrotamos. Por eso es muy importante que voten, la gente que tiene oportunidad. Again, I want to thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. And again, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. It's so important to vote. And for all those people that have the opportunity to vote, vote. And for all of you that are waiting, what are you waiting for? Heck, we have a Latino Pope now, for God's sakes. It's time to act. So again, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Woo! We love your passion, Juan. It's now my pleasure to introduce a great new member of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, Congresswoman Norma Flores.
Thank you, Chairwoman, for your leadership in bringing us together today. Much has been said that I want to associate myself with my colleagues' comments. But I also want to tell you about a little girl that came to the U.S., was sent here by her parents because they saw no future for her in Guatemala. Who would have thought that that little girl would one day be a member of Congress? Who Who would have thought that in 1994, when California initiated Proposition 187, who would have thought that up until that point, I thought I was the American dream. I thought I was living the American dream, living with my husband and my sons, working very, very hard, paying taxes every single year. I thought I was living the American dream. I never thought that we would be legal residents of the United States would be under attack. We were under attack then, and we are under attack now. That little girl was not a rapist. That little girl that came to the U.S. was not a drug dealer. That little girl is now a member of Congress. I want to encourage all of the immigrants that are here, that are able to become citizens, to take that step. I know it's a challenge. I know it's difficult. I did it. I went to high school, I went to college, all of that. I still registered myself for citizenship classes because I wanted to make sure that when I had my time, my one and only chance to take that test, that it wasn't going to be easy for me. I did it. I know it's expensive. Save the money, do it, get help from your families, become a citizen. Because if you're not a citizen, and if you're not registered to vote, you don't count at the polls. That means that people that are running for president can attack you. People that are running for president can take your way of life. Don't allow that to happen. Stand up and be counted. Mucho se ha dicho hoy y yo estoy de acuerdo con mis compañeros, pero yo tengo una diferente historia. Y mi historia es de una inmigrante, de una niña que vino a este país de 5 años, de una niña que no fue una drogada como nos están atacando ahorita. Una niña que vino aquí mandada por sus padres porque querían ellos una vida mejor para mí. ¿Quién iba a saber que algún día esa niña se iba a volver una congresista en este gran país, esta gran nación? Así que yo quiero decirles a todas las personas que pueden hacerse ciudadanos, que tomen ese paso, que estudien. Yo sé que cuesta mucho dinero, yo sé que tienen que enfocarse en la historia de los Estados Unidos y tienen que tomar ese test, pero háganlo porque es muy importante. Si no son ciudadanos, si no votan, no tienen una voz. Muchas gracias. Thank you all for being here. I now would like to introduce my neighbor in Congress, Congressman Edward.
Oh yeah. Bring it home, baby.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you, Congresswoman Torres. Thank you to Chairwoman Sanchez as well for the invitation to join you and for helping to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. While it's important that we recognize and celebrate our roots, our culture, and our heritage, it's also important that we look forward and we talk about our vision for this country. It's a critical time for Latinos in America. To talk about where we're headed, we need to talk about where we have begun. And that start, to me, is in the classroom. We need to focus on empowering the rising Latino population to take the lead and to join us in the future. And that means supporting proposals that expand free community college, that invest in early childhood education, that make critical financial investments in K-12 education, and increase federal access to loans and grants. We walk in the footsteps of giants. Cesar Chavez, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Dolores Huerta, and the list goes on. We need a generation that can keep that going. We need leaders who can, if we invest in them now, who can lead us into the future. We can't afford to miss that chance. College affordability is a big piece for me personally. I know what it's like to balance studying at school and working part-time just to make ends meet. I was one of the lucky ones. I had a Pell Grant to help me along the way. But students shouldn't have to be lucky. No student should be denied quality education because he or she can't afford it. We're better than that. Every kid, whether you grew up in New York City or whether you grow up in San Bernardino, California, you deserve a chance at the American dream. It's about getting a quality education. It's about the Latino American dream. They're one and the same. A quality education. And access to health care, good education, a good paying job, and the list goes on and on. That's how we can honor our heritage, by focusing on these issues that we've outlined today. I look forward to our continued progress and toward working with these colleagues to make a brighter future for Latinos across America. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so you've now heard from a wonderful pool of talented members who are out on the front lines every day fighting for our community. At this time, we're going to conclude the prepared remarks, and we'll take questions from the press. Okay, thank you all for being here.
Thank you. This is my daily workout.